Namaha. Hari Om. Bharadharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasanti Yasya Vajradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishnasvenam Tamastrayet. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Geeta Mrutam Mahate. Now, we were come up to 24 on Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga, right? Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gandavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So we will proceed with 25 now. But just to recap of what 24 was saying, slokam 24. The action of sacrifice, the action of yajnam is Brahman. What is sacrificed is Brahman. Brahman is a sacrificial fire. Offerings made into this fire are Brahman. He who attunes to the oneness of action attains Brahman itself. Okay. Now 25 says, some spiritually disciplined persons lovingly offer sacrifices to devas. Some others consider sacrifices to be Brahman itself and experience that it is Brahman making the offerings that are Brahman into the sacrificial fire that is Brahman. Okay. Slokam is Daivameva pare yajnam yoginaha paryupasate Brahmagnava pare yajnam yajnenaivopajuphati. With breaking it into padangal, into words. We are in 25, right? Okay. Now, Daivam eva apare yajnam yoginaha pari upasate. Brahmagnau apare yajnam yajnenaiva upajukvati. The meaning is apare yoginaha. Apare means other. Yoginaha, yogigal. Yogigal here, remember, talks about people who are in the process of embracing the indweller. Okay? Apare yoginaha, other yogigal, daivam, for the devas. Now here devas means, we talked about earlier, denotes effulgent beings. Effulgent beings, people, we talk about the effulgence behind our eyes, for example, that gives a vision, effulgence behind our hearing, all the devas that support and nourish us for us to lead our life here. Those devas, what they do, yajnam eva, all the sacrifices, pari upasate, they offer it to these devas with pari. Pari is a beautiful word. It says parivode, as we say in Tamil, which is with love and with affection. Now, next line is apare, yet others, Brahmagnau, the fire of sacrifice that is Brahman itself, yajnam, all the actions that we do as Brahman itself, yajnena eva, with the feeling of the doership that the Brahman itself is doing it, even though the Brahman ultimately does not do anything, we will see that later, but with that feeling, upajukvati, they offer it to this Brahman, the fire that is Brahman itself. So, reading it once again, Daivameva pare yajnam yoginaha pari upasate Brahmagnau apare yajnam yajnenaiva upajukvati. Now, this may sound a little bit complicated. This particular one, you may not have immediately understood it, but it's actually very simple and very powerful as we go through the next few teachings from the Lord. And you'll see that every action that we do in our daily life, every little thing that we do is always associated with yajna. And it just became, and Bhagavan gives a few examples of that. So then we realize every action that we do is automatically, it actually is born in yajna, as we saw earlier in Sathya Yoga. Okay? Now moving on to 26. Here comes one example. Okay? Slokam number 26. Srotradin Indriyane Anye Samyam Agnishu Juhvati. Saptadine Vishayan Anye Indriyagnishu Juhvati. Srotradin Indriyan Anye Samyam Agnishu Juhvati. Saptadin Vishayan Anye Indriyagnishu Juhvati. Number 26. Yet some others sacrifices their senses, such as the ear, in the fire of self-control, and yet others offer sense objects, such as sound, into the fire of their senses. What does it mean? That means, yamam, niyamam that we talk about, right? When you control your senses, for example, the sense of the ear is a sense, right? If you control it through self-control, the yajnam that you're doing is you're offering that into self-control, right? Self-control mechanism. The other ones, they control of what is heard. The sound comes, but then they control themselves saying, okay, I'm going to ignore the sound. I'm going to control it that way. That is also part of yajna. You're offering one into the other. That is basically what it is. So the words are, let us see, Srotradini Indriyane Anye Samyam Agnishu Juhvati. Saptadine Vishayane Anye Indriya Agnishu Juhvati. Juhvati simply means offering into a fire, for example. That is called Juhvati. Here, Anye. Anye, the meaning now, giving through the Padangal, is Anye, others. Samyam Agnishu. Samyam means control, the self-control, the exercise of control, through our mind, right? The mind starts controlling the senses. That's Samyam Agnishu, the fire of self-control. Srotradini Indriyani. Srotram is the ear, right? Srotradini Indriyani, all the sense objects, the senses of cognition, right? We talked about earlier, there are 10 senses. Here he's talking as an example he's giving. Srotradini Indriyani talks about the senses of cognition, like the ear, for example. Juhvati, they offer it into this fire, into the fire of self-control, which means you're basically saying, I am not going to, even the ear, the eyes and all that, your mind is always thinking about Bhagavan. Therefore, the ear and the eyes and other senses, while they do exist and perform their function, through your self-control, you're not even aware of their function. That's what that means. Now, Anye, the next line, yet others, Saptadini, the sound, Vishayane, the matters of things like the sound, things like the vision, things like touch, all those things now he's talking about. Indriyagnishu, those are Indriyagnishu Juhvati. The sound is offered into the sense of ear. When you hear a sound, you say, okay, the ear is doing its job. Let me not get attached to it. Automatically, you're offering the sound to the ear. You see something and your mind doesn't get attached to it, you immediately feel, that's the job of the eye. The eye's job is to see, so it is seeing it. So it kind of, you offer it to the eye. without getting involved in it. So this sort of yajnam many people do. So this is one example of the yajnam that is going on as you get into the spiritual path. Now, Bhagavan is going to give you some more examples. 27. The overall meaning of 27 is, some others, illumined by the light of wisdom and undertaking the required discipline to embrace the indweller, offer all their physical and mental actions as submission to the indweller. The whole idea, remember, the fundamental objective here, as we discussed early on, right in the very first class or second class, is for the mind to think of the Lord. Manmana bhava, right? That's what Bhagavan is finally teaching. So when the mind starts thinking about the Lord, that is, it starts embracing the indweller, then automatically you feel all the physical and mental actions, everything you do, you're really offering it to the indweller. That is another type of yajnam that some people do. Number 27. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samya yogagnau juhvati jnana dipite. Once more. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samsaya yogagnau juhvati jnana dipite. Parangal words. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yoga agnau juhvati jnana dipite. So the juhvati is a beautiful word. It's like when you do homam, when you offer things into the fire, and whatever you're offering loses its form, right? Basically, it disappears. It becomes ash. And if it's a physical thing, it becomes ash. If it's a mental thought, it disappears, right? It dissolves. So that action is what Juhvati is. Apare means others, okay? Or some people, yet others, depending upon the connotation of where it falls. Here, in this particular slokam, it says apare means others. It's giving other examples. Jnana dipite. The fire that is burning out of knowledge. What does this mean? That means you are thinking of the indweller. You may not have become one with the indweller. That doesn't matter. Even the process of embracing the indweller is also yoga, right? And so you start thinking about Bhagavan in your favorite form to start with, and then that favorite form becomes formless over a period of time as you focus on it. So that awareness and consciousness of the indweller, that is the Jnana Dipite that Bhagavan is talking about here. Atma Samyama Yoga. Now, the moment you start thinking of the indweller, obviously you want to offer everything to it, right? That is Atma Samyama Yoga Agnau. That is what Bhagavan, that Agni, that fire, he's calling it as a fire. That desire, that burning desire to embrace the indweller, and when you embrace it, it means everything you do, whatever you think, whatever you do, automatically you offer it to the indweller whom you are focusing on. That Atma Samyama Yogagnau. Sarvani Indriya Karmani. Sarvani, all. Indriya Karmani. Remember, there are 5 senses of action. 5 senses of perception and 5 senses of action, right? Indriya Karmani, all the actions that are done by the 5 senses of action, okay, whether it is seeing or whether it is speaking or, whatever, right? We saw that earlier. Not only that, Prana Karmani cha. Now there are 5, the pranas we have, right? You have Pranan, you have Apanan, you have Vyanan, then you have Udanan, and then you have Samanam. And I don't think we have covered it. So briefly, our whole body, which is really a machine, right, that is given to do a particular job. And the reason the body is functioning is so that the mind becomes one with the Lord, right? That is the basic reason. And Manayeva Karanam Moksha Bandhayo, as somebody else. body is sustained by a very little amount of air, so to speak, right? What happened? We breathe out. That breathing out is called prana. Breathing in is called apana, the air that is drawn in. Now, what happens to the air that's drawn in? That goes and spreads all through the body, okay? And that is called Jnana, okay? That particular aspect of the life-giving force of prana is called Jnana. And then the last breath that we take, when our time comes and the body stops functioning, so to speak, what happens? That air, the little amount of air that is in the body, comes out. Okay, that comes out. That is called Udana. And what happens to it when it comes out? It becomes Samanan, which means it becomes one with everything outside. All right? And those 5 actions that continue to take place, the prana karmani, okay, the indriya karmani and prana karmani, they all of them are juhvati, or offered, or submitted to, okay, surrender to what? The Atma Samyama Yogagna, the embracing the indweller. Okay, so that is, some people do that. Okay, Bhagavan is giving now 3 examples he has given, alright? So some people do this. That's what he says. Going through the slokam again. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yogagna juhvati jnana dipite. So that's very important. What makes it happen is jnana dipite. You must have the desire and the compelling desire to, I want to touch the Lord who is within me. I want to embrace Him. That little spark, that very soon becomes, over a period of whatever it is, whatever Bhagavan decides, not necessarily over a period of time, it can happen instantly also, that based upon His grace, that shines. That is the Jnana Dipite that he's talking about. Moving on to 28. 28, overall meaning is, now you had so far 3 examples. Let us see what other examples Bhagavan gives of this. He is now, the Lord is actually teaching us like a child. You'll see now the next slokam or the slokam after that, giving all these various examples, and then you will also come to something that we automatically do. So even normal, ordinary people do, not even yogis, right? And then he makes a point, listen, that you see that every action, okay, is automatically associated with yajnam, associated with sacrifice. In fact, action is born in sacrifice, and sacrifice is born in action, as we saw in Sankhya Yoga earlier on, right? So now moving on to 28, overall meaning is, there are several others. He's talking about other people now. Some perform sacrifice in the form of charity, right? That we are aware of. Now he comes to people like us. We may not be yogis, but something impels us to give money in charity, or food in charity, or clothes, or whatever, right? That's also a form of yajna. Some do sacrifice by performing rigorous discipline. You might say, I'll take Varalakshmi Vratam, or whatever discipline that you employ. Or you say, Kam Amavasya, I will not eat anything, whatever, right? Or Ekadasi, I will not eat anything. Some do sacrifice by yoga, right? And some others by learning and reciting the Vedas faithfully, right? So they do all this, and some persevere with determination and undertake exalted disciplines. What are those exalted disciplines? There are only 5 of them. They are, first of all, no killing. You don't kill anybody, you don't kill anything. Like the Jainism is very famous, we all know, not even an insect has to be killed. Not killing. Not telling lies. Not only that Satyam Vada, speak the truth, but Satyana, without, you should not do anything other than truth. That means you cannot lie. Not stealing. That is the 3rd one. And not behaving immorally. Somebody asked Swami, what is immortality? We all know moksham, amrutam. Amrutam means immortal. All the way that we translate it in English. What is it exactly? What is this amrutam? What is this immortality? Freedom from birth and death. What is it? The answer is very simple. Removal of immorality is immortality. So that's what he's talking about. He has a fourth the exalted discipline is not behaving immorally. And the fifth one, not being miserly. We should be magnanimous. We should be charitable. We should share what we have with everybody else. I should not keep things only for myself. Okay, very important. Not being miserly. These are classified as five great disciplines. That's the overall meaning. Let us go through the slokam now. 28. Dravya yajnaha, tapo yajnaha, yoga yajnaha, tata apare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, yatayaha, samstita vrataha. Once more. Dravya yajnas, tapo yajna, yoga yajnas, tata apare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, yataya samstita vrataha. The words are Dravya yajnaha, tapo yajnaha, yoga yajnaha, tata apare, swadhyaya jnana yajnaha cha yatayaha samstita vrataha. Tata, meaning now, tata, in the same way, now Bhagavan is giving a fourth type of classification or illustration of what is exactly happening. This is not something theoretical or academic. These are the various things that happen to all the human beings. Okay, so dravya yajnaha, that means you give dravyam, give charity, charity of various kinds that we all do. Tapo yajnaha, then some people undertake penance, as we mentioned. Right, all types of penance. It could be small, it could be big, whatever it is, we undertake these various disciplines, spiritual disciplines, penance and all that. And then yoga yajnaha, the people do yoga. Right? Swadhyaya jnana yajnaha cha, and swadhyayam is one word that denotes Veda. Right? Another word is swadhyayam, that means practice. Whatever you learn, you must bring that into anushthanam, into practical. You need to practice these principles. Then only you will know the truth of those principles. That's another meaning of swadhyayam. In this case, here it means Veda. Okay, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha. Now, when you start reciting Vedam, initially it sounds very nice, very pleasing. The sound vibrations are so beautiful, and then very soon the desire comes. What do these various things mean? And you start slowly inquiring. What is the meaning of this Vedam? What is the meaning of Purusha, whatever that you say, right? And then once you start understanding the meaning, then slowly the knowledge within you starts expanding. Oh my God, this is what it is? Then you start inquiring. The descent or the blossoming of the knowledge by reciting Vedam, okay, that is what this means. Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha. So, putting it in a very simple physical matter, when I want to learn Vedam and I want to recite it, then what am I doing? I'm giving up, I'm sacrificing time, right? You want to go drop your child in music class, you're sacrificing time and you're sacrificing your energy, right? Everything we do, there is an associated sacrifice. Here, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnaha cha, right? Yatayaha is beautiful. People who are committed, who are persevering, they don't give up, right? Those are the Yatayaha. So those people, this Yatayaha, samsita vrataha, with a strong discipline and commitment. I will not lie. I will not steal. I will not, what are the other five ones we saw? I will not kill others, right? Then I will not behave immorally. It is very important. In our scriptures, it is said, thou shalt not drink, for example. Now, some of us take it lightly and some of us take it seriously. And if you take it seriously and if you're committed, then you don't do that. Then, not being miserly. If you're committed to that, why I'm saying all these five? Because that's the next word there. Samsita vrataha. Vrata means discipline. Samsita vrataha, great disciplines. These five great disciplines are the five I just outlined to you. And committed to following those disciplines is yatayaha. Okay? So, committed, persevering, determined to follow these great disciplines. These people, they also do yajnam in these ways. Okay, that is the other example that Bhagavan has given. So going through 28 again. Dravya yajnas tapo yajna yoga yajnas tatha pare swadhyaya jnana yajnas cha yatayas samsita vrataha. Going 29. Now, another one that some of you may actually be doing this as part of a yoga class and all that, or meditation exercises. Bhagavan gives that example now. What does he say in 29? He says, some offer the outgoing breath in the incoming breath, and the incoming breath in the outgoing breath. Some others do sacrifice by stopping the inward and outward movements of breathing and worship breath control. So we do this, right? And when you start focusing on your prana, on your outgoing breath, automatically you'll see how that is it is followed by the incoming breath. You can enjoy this beautifully. And one is kind of blends and given up into the other. That giving up is what yajna is all about. And then some people say, you know what, once you start observing that, the outgoing breath and the incoming breath, how they are actually one and the same, one dissipates into the other, and that giving up and becoming one, that yajna, then all of a sudden your mind says, yeah, what about if I hold it? If I don't give out my breath and if I don't inhale or exhale, what happens? That breath control, that is also another form of yajna, right? That people do this. That is what Bhagavan is talking about. Now, the slokam is apane jukvati pranam prane apanam tatha apare prana apana gati ruddhva pranayama parayanaha. Apane jukvati pranam prane panam tatha pare prana pana gati ruddhva pranayama parayanaha. The words are apane jukvati pranam prane apanam tatha apare prana apana gati ruddhva pranayama parayanaha. Some other words we know by now already. Tatha, the same way. Apare, the same thing we saw in the earlier slokam. Apare, others, some others, in the same way. Apane, the incoming, the inhaling breath. Okay? In the incoming breath, pranam, the exhale breath, they actually jukvati, they make it one. Right? Then the next one is prane, in the exhaling breath, apanam, the inhaling breath, jukvati, they do homam, they blend it, they offer it. Pranapana gati ruddhva, that means exhale and inhale, both are stopped. Ruddhva, to stop it. Stopping it, pranayamam you know, which means to hold the breath, right? Parayanaha. Parayanaha is a beautiful word. Parayanam, we know Parayanam. Parayana simply means in a unshakable, committed manner, thinking of, mentally placing your mind at the lotus feet of the Lord, placing your mind with the indweller in an unshakable manner, in a continuous manner. That thing is called Parayanam. That is what people do, he says. So going through 29, apane jukvati pranam prane panam tatha pare prana panagati ruddhva pranayama parayana. Okay, then Bhagavan continues in slokam 30, 31 with some more illustrations of various different ways this yajnam is taking place in our daily life every minute. And then in 32, Bhagavan, with all these examples, he then talks about how the karma janma vidhi, how the karma, the action, and yajnam are one and the same, two sides of the same coin. So he makes that point. So that we will, with Bhagavan's grace, we'll take it up tomorrow because we have just run out of time. And let us conclude the session today. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.